Hey there, this is Dr. Pam Perry, and I'm so excited because this show is with Stephen A. Hart. Oh my God, he is a certified story brand coach, I guess you would say. And he'll tell you what all that is. But I am going to go and get the book, which I left upstairs, that I just really, really love. And, Stephen is just like, he's not new to podcasting. He's a podcast producer and all of that. But this show will show you how to get out there, get known, but also what you need to do in order to get there. So there are some pre-steps that you need to do. So what we're going to do is really give you a little bit of the inside. And this is all brand new for Steven. So I'm just excited that we're going to get to talk about it because I saw it. He posted on LinkedIn. So anyway, so right after this, we're going to bring up Stephen A. Hart.
Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey there. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
Pam, how you doing?
I'm doing good. So I had to go and get this particular book. It is called Building a Story Brand. So we're going to start out with that right there.
They have a new one that just came out last week.
Oh, 2.0. See, I save everything. So this might be a collector's item. I don't know.
What you have is something that came out in 2017, and it was it changed everything for me as a marketer.
It did. For me too, as well, because I'm a storyteller as well, talking about journalism and that kind of thing. So it was really, I think, so let's didn't he do a TEDx talk?
I don't know that Don did a TEDx.
I think he did. And I think that's how I first found out about him. And then I went and got the book. And I was like, wow. This was really, really good. So let's kind of backtrack because I had to go run and get that book to let you know.
Start talking.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. So this whole thing about storytelling, people talk about, I'm a storyteller. He's been talking about that for years, even before that. But you may want to give a little bit of his backstory as well of how he went from really kind of broke to like figuring this thing out and cracking the code, right? Because it was like, I think I got something here. So you could tell that. But I also want people to give to you to let them know, because I've known Stephen. He's a good friend of mine. I love him dearly, him and his family. He's from the DMV area, but he was born from Jamaica. If you kind of let you talk, you could probably hear your accent. But I want to hear about his pivot because he is phenomenal at podcasting. He did the Trailblazers.fm and Black Success. Yeah, and the Black Success.
Yeah, I am Black Success now.
Yes, that. And so I want to hear about the pivot and the why of the pivot. And like you said, it was game changer for us about knowing how to meld stories with our marketing.
Yeah. So as Pam just shared, I actually hail from Kingston, Jamaica. Been here though for, gosh, Pam, this year makes 32 years that I've been in the States. Came here right after high school. I as a career I've had a career in marketing, most recently was the director of content marketing for the world's largest cybersecurity training provider, the SANS Institute. And in December, decided to leave SANS and pursue full-time entrepreneurship once again. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I sold a business back in 2011. And about the point in time, my wife and I decided to start having kids and dealing with that, went back to corporate. And so I was first introduced to Don Miller shortly after starting Trailblazers.fm.
Okay.
So the podcast Trailblazers.fm was launched in February 2016. I want to say Don's book came out in 2017.
Yes. Yeah.
And Don Miller is somebody who comes from a background of story, right? He was a best-selling memoirist and started helping businesses. And he and several friends started putting structure around how businesses could better tell their story. Basically created a framework that allow you to frame your messaging and your marketing around something that's easy to consume in story.
Yes.
Yes. So I've been a big fan of his, Pam, for so long. And in the last year, I started consulting more. And I was leaning back to Don Miller, to the books, because he's now authored several books. His most recent year ago is Coach Builder, prior to 2.0 of Building a Story Brand coming out. And I found myself leaning back to the books, right, for the frameworks. And I was like, you know what? I just need to go ahead and commit to being, one of his disciples, right? He's
the expert. If you're going to follow somebody, follow the experts, the ones that kind of wrote the book on it, literally.
Absolutely. And so, today Don has 700-800 certified guides, coaches globally.
Wow.
Tons of marketing agency owners and coaches. And so I'm surrounded by amazing people who are, able to help me build up my own coaching practice. But also have the support and accountability of hundreds of other marketers around the globe.
So tell a little bit about, so you're a certified story brand teller.
Yeah.
What is the difference between a coach and a consultant? And I guess you would say, give us that kind of perspective.
Yeah. So I think of consulting. It's much more of me giving guidance right, than me actually executing on any service, right? Okay. I'm not actually doing the work. Helping to guide you on what you and your team need to execute on.
Okay.
That's more consulting.
Okay.
I look at coaching, and this is from Don in Coach Builder.
I like Coach Builder too.
This is another book of his that I'm referring to. And in this book, he was like, hey, look, the typical thought of a coach charging an hourly rate for their services is something that we need to move away from. When I say I'm a coach, right? And would you like to, if I came to you, Pam, and said, hey, do you need some marketing coaching? And you're like, don't know exactly what that means, right? I have since looked at his Coach Builder process and developed several offerings, right? All under the umbrella of coaching. And that could include video services, podcast services, fractional video management, all right? Yeah. Different offerings. And Don says this, and I absolutely love this analogy. He says, you wouldn't walk into a restaurant, right? And be like, hey, can I get a menu? And as the owner of the restaurant, you say, we don't have a menu. You'd be like, all right, so what do you have? And you're like, what do you have? And your response is, we have protein. Right? That's kind of the analogy to just saying, we offer coaching, right? Exactly. You need to have a menu of products, of things you can actually do to help people where they are.
I love that. And that's how you could scale too, because now you have these offerings and you can have other people as part of your team or your sales team to make those offerings to the public, right? That is the main thing. So you have those offerings. The same thing with me doing PR. For a long time, I said it was a PR coach, and people still were like, are you the publicist? And a publicist is a wide net. And a PR coach was just even like more confusing, because it a lot of times people didn't really know what that meant. Are you showing me or are you doing it for me? And so I have offerings that start with the magazine, as a starter, like the Speakers magazine. And then it can go to our quick media coverage, which are done for you PR. But then there's also to the VIP days, or there is also the television show that we have. So there are a lot of different things that people can consume, and it's almost like they have to start at the customer's journey, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, where are they? And so if you don't have that offering, I guess you could do a proposal and then make it really, customized, but at least have the buckets so
Yeah.
that people know where they're going to fit in.
That's
And
right.
that's why that's what I like. But one of the main things I like that you said earlier, Stephen, was that as an entrepreneur, and we all have different reasons why people choose entrepreneurship, and then also why people step back and then hold and or make a pivot. But a lot of times we have glorified this word entrepreneurship, that people will just go in and just head first without any kind of like just a stubbornness, like I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I don't care what it takes, I'm team no sleep. And I'm like, you're going to be team living in your car in a minute, so you need to just go get a job at this point. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I remember I had a client, his name was Ken Brown. He's a millionaire now, but he said he was working his business on the side, and he looked at his job as a person that was really funding his dream.
100%.
so so he said he had goals,
Yeah.
and so his job was really funding his dream, because he was investing what he was working, obviously living, but investing it into his dream. And so I want people to really understand that when they are looking at is this business right? And sometimes it could be a mindset shift, sometimes it could be the business model, kind of like what you did a shift in the business model.
So,
And your strategy is a little bit different in terms of how you're getting clients.
you're touching on something that hits at the heart, right? I just created a post this evening on LinkedIn talking about Meta's Facebook actually announced that they're laying off over 3,600 people, 5% of their workforce.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my
And
God. And they ask for money all the time. I find that hard to believe. But
and
anyway,
they're just straight up like, hey, we're gonna lay off people performance based, and they're gonna get a check in a couple weeks, and we'll tell them who. And I shared the story on LinkedIn News, but it really had me thinking about the importance at this point in 2025 that we are all thinking about diversification of income.
yes.
Whether you have a 9-to-5 that you are keeping for insurance and benefits, that's cool.
But
right?
there's no security in the 9-to-5.
Let's get it clear. There's no security, no stability, no sustainability
Right.
in a 9-to-5 anymore. If you believe that, you're lying to yourself. Likewise, I think, if you're an entrepreneur with one product, the same could be said for you, right? You are relying on one source of income. I liken that to my father, and my parents grew up in a rural area of Jamaica, right? When my dad tells me stories that, growing up in the 50s, right, in Jamaica, they were cooking outdoor, right, on a 1-pot cold stove, right? Why are we treating a corporate job like a 1-pot cold stove? 2025. Instead of thinking like, hey, I need to have a 5-burner cooktop like I do in most kitchens, right? Where your 9-to-5 is on that big burner that's always on. Right. And you create alternate burners for yourself that maybe you're a Jamaican like me that always wants all the burners on at the same time. You have 5.
Or put it in a microwave or air fryer.
But, like my wife is gainfully, like wired to corporate, and that's great. But she actually is a certified executive coach. And so she has a burner that she almost never turns on, but it's there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so,
I love that.
We need to give more thought at this point, right? Whether we're in the entrepreneurship lane or we're in the corporate lane. What else are you doing to diversify your income sources so that you're not relying on just one burner and one pot to provide?
Exactly.
Right?
I love the way you've always been a good storyteller, but I love the way you weaved in what you're doing now in
Yeah.
terms of how how you're doing it and why you're doing it.
Yeah.
So explain a little bit of the framework without getting like too deep, but a little bit of the framework about why we love StoryBrand so much, and that how it helps with marketing, sales, and just even just period. I mean, Jesus talking in parables. So that's like it's
Right.
very ancient in terms of people remembering stories, but kind of give a little bit from the standpoint of someone who's listening, who is a entrepreneur who wants to get out there, get known, and whether it's one to many or one on one or in a group, how does this resonate with what you're doing now and as a certified story brand?
So you touched on it, right? Story is as old as time. It's 2,500 years old, right? And the reason that it's worked over that time is it's easy to consume a story, right? It's the easiest way for you to communicate a message. And at the core of it, marketing is all about messaging, right? It's how we communicate the value of something that we are offering to the world, right? So at the core, everything we do in marketing ties back to a particular message. Even if you're doing video, there is a message. So today I wrote a video script and recorded that on video and published that on LinkedIn. Well, that was a message. That was copy at the core, right? And so what Don does in building a story brand, he said, look, every good movie that we have watched and we have loved has followed a framework over time, right? You think of Hunger Games or Star Wars or any of these popular movies, right? For Hunger Games, Katniss, right, had Haymitch. In Star Wars, right? Luke Skywalker had Yoda. And where I'm going with this, every story starts with a character who wants something, right? And there's a problem standing in the way of them being able to access that thing that they want. Now, guess who's the character in the story? Is it you, the business owner, or is it your customer?
It is the customer.
Who's the hero, right? The customer is the hero of the story. And so that's the first part of story that sometimes entrepreneurs get confused about. We position ourselves as the hero, when in truth, right, we are trying to help someone get through a problem. That's the reason you're coming to us to do business with us, right? So you first understand as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that look, your customer is your hero. They're the character that wants something. There's a problem standing in the way of them being able to achieve that thing that they want. And guess what? We are going to position our business, ourselves as experts, right, as the guide in this story, as the Haymitch, as the Yoda, who presents that customer with a plan, with a product, with an offer, and says, hey, go ahead, you're going to do this, right? You're going to execute on my solution, and it's going to help you avoid failure and achieve the success that you've been wanting, right? We could weave that framework. Those are 7 parts. A character who wants something, a problem standing in their way, right? The guide, right? Who's going to help provide them a plan, call them to take an action that avoids failure and results in success. 7-part framework.
I love that. One of my favorite stories is The Wizard of Oz, or either one. Yeah. Dorothy has the problem. She wants to get home, that's the customer. And so the person that is in the way, obviously, are the Wicked Witch, so to speak. That's the person that's trying to keep her from that. But then the guides, I guess you would say many guides along the way, that she meets different people and she tries different things, with the Scarecrow and the Lion and the Tin Man. But ultimately, it's Glinda the Good Witch that kind of gives her the secret sauce. Like, all you have to do, it was in you all the time, is tap these shoes. It was always my favorite story, because it said that she needed heart, she needed a mind, and she needed to have courage. But that is so important for every story that we know. It always has someone who is
Great
the
story.
hero, and then someone who's a character who is trying to overcome some obstacles.
Yeah.
And that is really, really key. So the story, when people are talking, it's not like it's chit chat when you're talking to people. It's really developing the messaging. So tell us a little bit about that part of the structure, how you help people with in terms of their messaging.
Right. So those 7 pieces, think of them as sound bites, right? They're little pieces that we build on from there, right? When we are looking to now develop or what we call our brand message, right? We now know we can look back at these 7 pieces of the story that we've put together, and now we can look at a website in a practical use case, right? You're beginning to work on a website. You now know you can take that soundbite of the problems that your customer is experiencing and weave that right into the hero section of your website. I help, this character solve these problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
And these pieces, these sound bites of your message, of your story framework, help in every area of your brand message, across social, across video, across your different collateral that you're going to create, your email, nurture campaigns, everything that you're doing. You're going to tell those sound bites over and over and over again. You're going to tell that story, right? And it's going to help for your customer to say, you know what? I know that Pam Perry can solve my problem, right? Or she can solve your problem, right? When somebody's like, hey, who do you know that can X? You know what? I've heard this story 50 million times, right? It's like the jingle of that commercial that plays run over again, right? You're creating that jingle in those messaging sound bites. And
that's true. That's true. I remember you talking about jingle. I remember when I was working for an agency years ago, and they handled McDonald's, and the song had just come out. Ba da ba ba ba. I'm loving it. And when the jingle first came out, it was like, oh, that's never going to catch on. Oh my God, how much money do we have to put behind this or whatever? Because before it was like, you deserve a break today at McDonald's. That was like, you deserve a break today, and that was like the jingle for a long time. And then all of a sudden they're going to pivot to something, ba da ba ba ba. I'm loving it. It's like, oh, but now it has caught on. It's like, now I know that song. But it is pretty much like saying that messaging over and over again, like a song that we remember, that you can recommend, that you can refer to someone, that you refer to it. So that part of it. But in your business of how you're helping people, we're kind of getting towards the, I want to take a little break here, but we're getting to the part where the buckets, I guess, where you help people as well. And then what your ideal customer is and who you're looking to serve now that you have this new I guess you say, I'm gonna say it's a new business, but it's a new certification or a new way of doing things, I guess you would say. So that's kind of like what I kind of want to get to a little bit. So I'm gonna bring you back. You're gonna answer that because I want to know how you're using that. And I'm a little bit new to my dashboard that they changed a little bit here. And I know. It's like, well, what is going on here? Okay, here we go. So this is one of the things that people may want to consider when they want to get out there and get known.
Are you ready to get noticed? Pam Perry PR's quick media coverage service is here to put you in the spotlight. Just tell us your story and we'll tell the world. Our team of journalists will craft compelling stories about you, featuring captivating photos and links to your website and social media. Choose 1, 2, or 3 stories and see yourself on high-traffic news sites. Be seen, be in the news. With quick media coverage, your unique and newsworthy story gets the attention it deserves. Visit PamPerryPR.com. That's PamPerryPR.com. And get started today.
There you go. All right, because like you said, they did change the dashboard a little bit too, and we are in collaboration with Black Speakers Network. Brian Old, so some of their assets are behind the scene too. So I've got like a million assets behind here, but it's all good. It's all good because we're one big family. But so I want to know a little bit about the buckets. I know that you're help people with video, but kind of tell us your ideal customer and how you're helping them get out there and get known.
So I am helping small to medium-sized businesses, right, who are challenged by what we had been talking about, right? They're wanting to be more clear about the entire funnel. That could be their brand message, and getting clear about who they're speaking to, what the message is that they're putting out. I also help with things like a lead generator, right? So your website, if you want to know, weave that message into your website, build a lead generator so that when that traffic does come to your website, there's a way for you to capture their information.
Yes.
And not only capture their information, but how do you nurture them, right?
Yeah.
I can help write that email nurture sequence.
Oh, good.
And the part that I just have all the love and passion in the world for is the content, right? I'm a content marketer at the core. And so today, in a world that is much more video centric than anything else, I lead with video. And so I help busy entrepreneurs and business owners to streamline that process.
Yeah.
To come into a room just like this, right? And I'm going to help her produce that content once inside of an hour. And then I do what I have a superpower to do, cut that up, produce that content, have it branded, and provide you enough content on message, on brand that you can put out across your social channels and your other marketing initiatives through the course of the month.
I love that. That is, people are afraid of video. I mean, it's not, even though we have a lot of apps and things like that, it's kind of like, just because you have a computer and camera does not mean you're a designer. So you need someone that's going to assist you with the whole strategy behind it and the messaging, and really telling that story brand, so that people can resonate with it. Because the main thing, if you get a lot of traffic, say you are running and you're in stories and you're in Women's Journal or CEO Weekly, and they love the story, they read about it, the journalist wrote about it, and they go to your website and the website doesn't convert, that part I can't help you with that part.
Right.
Okay, we got to go to Steven at that part, because they can go to the website. Maybe they do sign up on get your newsletter, and then you don't send one out because you haven't had time to figure out the content to put in the newsletter. But you got a little box to say sign up for a newsletter, but they've never gotten a newsletter. So those are the things that Steven can help you with, because that is really key. Content is really, especially video content, is so important today. With TikTok going away, people are going to still do
TikTok may go away, but it cemented a lot of what now the path forward, right? In short form content.
Yes. Yeah.
And so whether you're on YouTube or on LinkedIn or you're on Facebook, every channel now, right? Instagram Reels, it's framed the way we consume first, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It's one of the things that is the game changer for that. It used to be years ago, in the early 2000s, where the books were the thing. And books are still good, but books were the things. If you have a book, it was like that was the main thing. But now people are really figuring out this video thing, because that is really key, because we're used to it now in these sound bites of like 30 seconds, even shorter than that. Sometimes I do YouTube shorts as well. Obviously the shorts and the reels and the TikToks, they do better because they're shorter. Long form content is still going to be available, like this podcast is on YouTube, but a lot of times people want to know, really quick and snack bites kind of thing. Right. Yeah. So I want people to know that they can reach out to you, and you are doing consultations with people that are your ideal clients, small businesses, small to medium-sized businesses, that StevenAHart.com.
That's right. If you're listening to this content right now that this conversation we just shared, and you're interested in talking a bit more about your particular marketing needs and challenges, hop on over to stevenahart.com, and right there you can schedule a discovery call. We can jump on a call for 30 minutes and talk about what you have happening and some ideas around how to solve that.
I love that. I love that. And one of the things that I always like to tell you, Stephen, that you've always been authentic, genuine, very easy to talk to. You have a superpower that you don't mind sharing and helping people explode their brand. So I just thank you for doing the show today and doing this pivot. And I'm kind of like, how long has it been that you've done the pivot?
I actually left Sands in December, and I sent a message out. And Pam, I am so grateful to you. Immediately replied and was like, "Hey, come on the podcast and come talk to me about your pivot."
Yes, because it's a big deal, because getting that certification was a big deal. I think it was a while. It ain't no joke. That's all I can say. It ain't no joke. Okay.
It's not cheap, and it's a lot of work. Right?
It's a lot of work, but that is the thing that people can tap into you more for. So thank you so much for joining us today for Get Out There, Get Known. I just appreciate you. And if there's anything that I can do, we should collaborate more, because like I said, 100%. I can get people publicity, but if they don't have the back end part right, it's not going to work. So they've got to have all the pieces working together. So that is what you help people with, to really get their messaging, because clarity is key before you can create any content. So I'm a publicist, not a therapist, so I can't really help you get the things right in your head, but you can pull that out of them.
If you confuse, you lose.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us today for Get Out There, Get Known. I will talk with you later. God bless. All right, bye-bye. That was Stephen A. Hart. Love him. So make sure you go to StephenAHart.com, set up your discovery call to learn how to tell your story brand. All right. I'm Pam Perry, and I'm out.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch. In order to be